everyone, and welcome back to The Common Tangent. I'm Solskynn, and joining me as always are my amazing co-hosts, Anikailani and RJ. Today we're diving into a fun and maybe a little frustrating topic, personal pet peeves. We all have those little things that get under our skin, things that make us roll our eyes, sigh loudly, or maybe even mutter under our breath. And we want to hear yours too, so stick around. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And for updates, clips, and announcements, we'll be sharing on X. So tonight, my first question, what exactly counts as a pet peeve for you guys?
You want me to go first?
Yes,
Yeah,
go
go
ahead, RJ.
All right. I'm thinking that the regular pet peeves for me is just something that there's like random things that you're just annoyed by, but yet it doesn't really like piss you off. It's just something that you notice. And you're like, oh my gosh, why does this keep happening? And you can address it. Things get better and press on. And then if it keeps happening, then it becomes more of an annoyance versus a pet peeve. But just those small things. I think that's the only difference for me with the annoyances versus pet peeves are.
I like that. And what about you, Annie?
Man, that's actually a hard question because it takes a lot to irritate me. Like a lot. I'd say for me, like a personal pet peeve is once it gets to that point. There are a lot of things that most people consider pet peeves that kind of just are like minor annoyances to me, where I'm kind of like, that's annoying, but whatever. Versus like something that happens and instantly I am just infuriated. That's kind of what a pet peeve is for me, is just that extra oomph behind it.
That's fair. For me, a pet peeve is something that makes me stop and think, what? Why would you do that? Or what was your thinking on that? Because it's definitely not how I would do it. It's interesting that all three of us look at pet peeves in a different light. The next question is, what's the difference between a minor annoyance versus a deal breaker? I'll let you start with that one, Annie.
Minor annoyance versus a deal breaker. Again, like small things, whether the toilet paper roll is one way or the other way. Some people have pet peeves towards it. For me, it's just more of a minor annoyance. Or one common societal one, toilet seat up versus toilet seat down. I know a lot of people that are like, that is like deal breaker type situation, pet peeve, like DEFCON 5 sort of thing. For me, I'm just kind of like, I feel like everybody considers a pet peeve in some regard are just like top tier level annoyances and pet peeves for me, where like I see it and I get, like I said, I get super agitated. My whole day is basically ruined and I have to try to calm myself down. Like that's the difference between the two for me.
I think the same example definition is about the same for me as well. But let me give you kind of an example of the difference between a pet peeve or something that kind of like, I can get past that, or something that's like a deal breaker. If somebody has like an accent that you're not used to and you can get along with somebody and you're hanging out with somebody and they don't say, like, you say door, like without door, without the end of the R or something like that. That's like something that I'll just look past and it's not a big deal. But if somebody is talking and you're starting to use like slurs, or you're starting to use certain things that you've been grown up to and you're used to, and that's how you talk and that's how you are, and you're using these words that are not in my vocabulary, that to me is a deal breaker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah.
Definitely makes sense. I think most of mine are just minor annoyances that make me sigh heavily. That's basically how you know that it's a pet peeve, is if I sigh at you. Deal breakers are definitely more of a unresolvable issue, and they definitely don't fall into a pet peeve category. They fall into a completely different category. I was talking with Ant shortly before this, and he had said, well, what are some of your pet peeves with me? And I responded, I'm like, well, they're not, because they're things I choose to work on because we're in a relationship versus anybody else, which is a friend. And I just question and move on.
Yeah, like you just
So
kind of
I
like,
think also,
Kind of like just you
Go
kind
ahead.
of just kind of like brush past it, kind of like, oh, it's just you, no big deal, and you just kind of press on.
Yeah. So I think also the level of relationship matters.
Oh, for sure.
Because like my
Agreed.
daughter can do things that will drive me absolutely batty. Ask me to name one right now. I can't, but she does. But there's no deal breaker with her because she's my child. So there's no option to just be like, I'm done. I'm not ever conversing with you again or doing this with you again because that's not an option.
Yeah, it's
So
those ones where you can walk away from, get your bearing back, and then come back and start over. I like that idea.
correct.
Yep.
Yeah. So I want to invite you guys to share your top one or two pet peeves, your top one or two. I know RJ is ready for this. Like he's got them listed out and ready to go.
I mean,
Uh
I've got a few. I got to scroll the page, but I got a few.
oh my lord.
It's on my phone, so there's only like 5 words per line. So like if I scroll, it's
Oh,
not a
that's
big deal. Yeah, but still.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Well, take the stage, RJ.
say, yeah, definitely.
I'll give you some simple ones, and then I'll give you ones that bother me the most. How's that? Like, so a simple one for me, when I was a kid, I didn't know any better. So as I played, I just bounced from room to room to room, and my dad would be like, "Oh, why are you in a room that you don't leave the light? You don't leave the light on?" Well, my kids do that now, so that's kind of a pet peeve. Where it's like they're downstairs and all the lights are on upstairs. I'm just like, okay, can someone come upstairs and turn the lights off? Maybe they'll get the hang of shutting the lights off. So those are like the minor ones, something like that. Like having friends dump their drama on you, even though you're there to help, but they don't care to ask how you're doing. Those kind of things where it's kind of like, I'm going to look past it because I know you're going through some stuff. But those small things like that, kind of like, okay, eventually I hope they give a crap enough to ask me how my day was. And I'll give you the funniest one of them all. Out of all the ones I wrote down, I know this is the PG podcast, so just take this for what it's worth. My biggest pet peeve in my life right now, as the age I am, is sneezing while I'm trying to go to the bathroom. Because if I'm sitting on the bathroom, am I sitting on the toilet trying to release whatever I'm trying to release, and I'm sneezing, not a good feeling. Just a pet peeve. I can't change it. It's just one of those things. And I'm just like, yep, that's the funniest one out of my entire list, and I just had to leave with that one because the
Yes, womp 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 womp. You know why? Because pregnant women deal with that on a regular basis.
exactly.
Like, oh, and then after we have kids, we sneeze and we're like, oh.
Yeah.
That is a pet peeve. That
Yeah.
I have to say that's a golden pet peeve.
Yes, I got a few. And
So welcome to the club.
yes, and imagine that same sequence when you're trying to sneeze and you look over when you're finally done and realize the last person that was in the bathroom didn't replenish the toilet paper after they took the last square. Now you have to figure out, are you screaming for someone to get you to roll, or are you just going to get up and try to find one? And those are the smallest pet peeves I've got. So yeah, I'll leave it at that for now unless we come back with more, but that's all I got. That's all I'm going to say
I'll
right
have
now.
to say, the last roll on the toilet paper thing, the only person that isn't bothered by it in this house is me, because I'm usually the one who's supposed to be refilling the toilet paper rolls.
You're the one that takes the last one? Okay.
It's
We see
usually
how it
me
works.
because the child is at school and Aunt is at work, and I will usually be there like, well, I've done this to myself.
Yep.
So we always have a backup roll to help prevent that.
We-
Sometimes I don't get to refilling that backup roll.
Yeah, we do that sometimes too. But no, yeah, when you're done with that one and you don't replenish the backup roll,
Yeah.
yeah, better hope there's some in the bathroom with you instead of all the way downstairs.
Right, exactly. Xena and I have like something similar. It's a little bit different because I have one of the rolls that you have to do the little scrunch thing to get the little bar in the middle to open, and then you put it on, then you put it back in the holder. If anybody knows what I'm talking about. I feel like
Yeah,
I
it
just
doesn't
described
just
that really
slide on. You have to pinch the center post together in order to get it off.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
Yep.
So one of the things that I've been navigating whenever it comes to us is she's not able to do that because of her disability. It actually hurts her to do that. So whenever the roll is getting low, at least the last couple of times that I've noticed it, where it had been used, I get it down to like, it's kind of like on the lower end, but they're still used with it, and she'll polish it off. And because she can't do that with the roll holder, she ends up just putting it on top of the on top of the holder. And I admit that I do have to be mindful sometimes, because depending on like what kind of day I've had, I'll like see that and just be like, okay. But then it kind of hits in, and where I'm like, well, you know, it's just a minor thing. Don't worry about it. So like it starts teetering into that level of pet peeve, but it's not actually there.
So you're getting at the slight
Um,
annoyance versus pet peeve kind of thing.
yeah, exactly. But again, it really just depends on my mood, which, well, actually, let me stop before I get ahead of myself, because I don't know if Soul wanted to go into her share or not.
I can do that. I did happen to remember one. I had a difficulty time remembering before we started recording, but I think the biggest one of my pet peeves, and anybody who does it, it's a pet peeve, calling soda pop.
Yeah.
Like it grates
I think that was a previous
on my
podcast you made a
internal
comment about that,
soul.
didn't you? If you didn't know that spoiler or Easter egg, go back and listen to one. You'll hear it. You'll hear it, I promise.
Yeah, that is definitely one of mine. I don't know why that grates on me so bad. Another one of mine when I'm out is if you're at a store and you're going down the parking lot in front of the store's on one side and the parking spaces are on the other, and the people coming out of the store, it drives me batty. You walk diagonally across the street to get where
Oh
you
my
are,
God.
Yes.
instead of
Yes.
straight across and then making a 90-degree turn and going to your car. Like it shouldn't bother me.
Can we?
Should not by the light of days bother me, but I sit there and I look at the people. I'm like, you're supposed to get as quickly as you can across the street. Now you may not physically be able to move fast, but you don't need to walk the longest path diagonally across
Yeah,
the
that's
walkway.
either
Yeah.
oblivious or just don't care. Just don't care.
Like that one.
Yeah.
And the shopping carts not put
I
back.
was just about to say that
Okay.
too. Like if you go
I
to
am
your
the person
yes,
that will go collect them and put them back.
Yes.
I've done that too.
Oh my God, yes.
Let me ask you really quick here. Have you ever worked for a Walmart or Target or something like that actually had to
Yup.
go out there and do that? Because I think that has a lot to do with remembering and grabbing them and putting them in the carts or even taking it to the front if you have that experience. Because if you're the one that has to be, oh, you're going to be assigned to the carts outside and you go outside and there's like 50 of them, not even the cart corral, you'll never ever leave a cart not in the cart.
Correct. It's just not, in my opinion, it's not respectful to the workers. I live in Ohio and it was nasty snowing not long ago. And I wouldn't want to be that person having to go out and collect all those carts because somebody else couldn't spend 5 more seconds to put it away.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
know this might come off like not nice, but I just don't like, that's just one of my pet peeves. Be nice to the workers, put them back there, or do you got to come out here and struggle and get them back to the store?
Yeah,
See,
agreed.
I'm remembering as we're talking about it.
Yeah, and being nice to the people that work there. Like I remember going into, I'll say pizza place or whatever, and I'm sitting there waiting for it to be done. I've already paid for it. I've all doing, just waiting for it to be done. And people walk in, they stand at the desk, and you could tell that they're super busy behind trying to catch up everything. And they say, "Hey, we'll be there in a minute," and then they respond, "Well, I've been standing here for 3 minutes." Well, I understand that they're busy. They just acknowledged you, and they'll be with you in just a minute. It's just about being nice, being respectful, those kind of small things. I just cringed and I just shook my head. I was like, I won't say anything. Not gonna say anything, but
Yep,
in my head,
not my circus, not my monkeys. Correct.
exactly.
How about you, Annie?
So it's, as we're talking about it, I too am also remembering certain ones. The one I was going to actually use and why I was being somewhat vague with answering questions earlier was because of the fact that this is the only one that I could actually think of at the time. The carts and the corral thing. That is definitely one that agitates me the most. And it is in part because of having that experience as that person having to collect the carts. Whenever the first job that I actually had, I was called a courtesy clerk, and this is because I was, just a little bit underage, so I was old enough to work, but I wasn't able to run a cash register yet because I wasn't of age. Because I think it was like 16 in Virginia or something like that. I think I was like 13 whenever I started. So I basically was just a little kind of, for lack of better phrasing, busboy in a way, because I would help people with their groceries, helping, little old ladies that couldn't carry for whatever reason, helping them put their groceries into their car. And then at the end of everything, I would round up the carts in the parking lot. And I do remember a couple of times whenever it was winter, whenever you're struggling trying to push 10 some odd carts that already are pretty hefty and unwieldy through slush and snow. So you're getting caught up every 5 seconds. Like, it was brutal sometimes. And because of that, I feel like I have a much deeper respect for that sort of stuff. So I definitely try, and I emphasize the phrase "I try" to make sure that I am constantly putting my cart back, because of just recognizing that it can be exhausting, even with the little motorized trolleys that they have sometimes, like just having to go around the entire parking lot to get the carts. Yeah, it's exhausting.
Like when
Um,
when I see a cart, I don't try to judge the person right away and being like angry at them for leaving it because I don't know the situation, but it still bothers me. And the reason why I say that is because I know I have two kids, and I remember one time I was getting the food into the back of the truck, and it was off the side, and then one of them took off running, and the other one went the other direction. So one parent, two kids, opposite directions. So you have to pick which one you think is not going to get hit by a car. The other one is probably might. So you go after the one that might be hit by a car, and you get him in the car. You're frustrated. You just get in, you drive off, and then you realize, I don't think I put the card away. So I mean, I get annoyed by people that leave card outs, but I try not to like fully get too upset because I don't know what happened. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
see now
agreed.
that's fair. It's not something I think I had ever thought about. I don't judge the people anyway when I see it. I get frustrated that it doesn't get done. My thoughts immediately go to the worker who has to come out and collect all of those carts. It's the person who now has to do the job.
Yeah, because we all have
Yeah.
had to do it at least once. Yeah.
Right.
I
And
did not.
especially especially with my neurodivergence too, I'm the one that would hyper focus on it. So then instead of me just turning in my cart and then one that's like near me, all of a sudden I'm clearing out an entire aisle of carts because I'm like, well, nobody else is going to do it, so I'm just going to do it myself.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I also try not to do the whole judgment portion of things. And I kind of attribute it to previous experiences in terms of having to be hyper vigilant in a previous occupation. And so I have that moment where I'll have that knee-jerk response to get agitated, but then within a few milliseconds, I'm like scanning around to figure out what the situation might be. And in general, for the most part, after that kicks in, I'm like, okay, it's whatever. It's not that big a deal. But what is a big deal, and what my mouth would get me in trouble for, is what you guys were just talking about earlier with people being rude to wait staff. Oh my days, that
For sure.
I know it's PG, I know it's, whatever, but it pisses me off so much. I'm so if I had to name any sort of pet peeve, like serious pet peeve for me, it is misplaced blame.
I can.
So, restaurants running behind because, they're slammed, so on and so forth, and the hostess or host or whomever is waiting is like you said, RJ, I'm sorry, we'll get to you in a second, just hang on. And a person says like, well, I've been waiting 5 minutes already or something like that. I would be apt to kind of make a noise, whether that's a cough or whether that's something, but just enough to get attention pulled on me where I would physically roll my eyes to the point that it seemed like I would be rolling them out of the back of my head. I it's petty and I recognize that, but I legit want that person to know that I'm like being critical of them at that point, because if you are being rude to wait staff, especially whenever there's been no reason for them to for you to act that way towards them, I'm gonna have words.
Facts.
That's interesting you say that about pulling the attention to you. I don't do it to pull the attention to me, and I didn't realize I did it until somebody pointed it out. When somebody is being obnoxious to whatever it is, when you're out in public and acting like your needs are the only needs that need to be addressed or taken care of, or that you have waited too long compared to anybody else. I get this, like, I raise my one eyebrow and I kind of tilt my head to the side and I look at them like, did you really? Did you really just do that?
Yeah, you kind of gave him the stink eye, is what you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind
Yep,
of is. And I didn't realize I started doing that till I was a mother. And it was like, maybe I should turn the face off when I'm out in public.
What's
But yeah, it
funny?
does. It gets that way because it's like, but see, when it comes to a mom and we're out in public and there's a crying child or just acting out or anything, I'm instantly the person who's like, is there anything I can do to help you so that you can move through what you need to do faster so you feel more comfortable at home in this situation?
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Kids screaming and
Yeah.
acting out doesn't phase me at all in public, probably because I went through it so much with my own daughter. But it is a pet peeve of mine of other people who get impatient and short with parents.
Well, what about the parents that excuse their kids even when the kids are obviously the problem? And I don't mean like that as a negative. I mean like they were the one that pushed, or they were the whatever, they did something, they knocked over something or whatever, and the parents are like, oh, whatever, no big deal. Those are the kind of things that bother me a little bit.
See, I can understand that, but we also don't know if the parent is preventing a trigger at that moment.
Facts. I can see that. Yep.
I have so much grace when it comes to parents out in public with their kids. And it just might have been because I went through such a struggle with my own. Like, I had called my daughter's dad so many times in tears in public. I need you to come get me because I cannot drive in the overstimulated state I'm in because she's upset because she couldn't touch something.
See, and what I like about that is that you knew and you asked. You had the acknowledgement to understand that you needed help. And that's kind of what the point of the podcast is talk about these kind of things. So you're not alone.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a very, very big thing.
Yeah.
Are there, go ahead, Annie.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, are there any situations where a pet peeve has actually led to a funny situation?
Yes.
Let's hear it.
Yes.
So it's funny, Soul, that you're talking about how like you get a face and you're not aware of it. I learned that out whenever I was really young, that I don't exactly have a poker face most of the time, because anything that happens that I kind of have a side eye glance about, you're getting that side eye, and there's no preventing it. Like it's just it's happening, and I'm aware of it too. I don't correct myself. I'm like, I'm just gonna do it.
That's funny.
Like, because that was just wild. So going to, and maybe this is a hot take, but going to the idea of parents and grace and stuff like that, again, kind of harping on my experience with hypervigilance from previous occupation. I like to think that I've developed pretty good awareness and like observation skills. So there are definitely plenty of times like that where like child's freaking out and like I'll see the parent like looks like they're struggling, whether it's that mom that looks like haggard or the father that just looks so done with life, like he looks pissed but he's not actively doing anything, like stuff like that, versus the ones that often in those scenarios where they kind of just like let the kid go will kind of have this like not exactly flippant look but almost like a like just nonchalant. Those are the ones that kind of have me like legit do the side eye and go like, all right, so just gonna let that happen. Okay. um I I kind of turn into my mom in a way.
Don't we all?
Right.
Amen.
So prefacing this with a little mini story, and then I'll get to the actual point at hand. So, long story short, growing up, me and my mom used to sit in a park and we would people watch. It was the funniest thing because it was like drag where you would like read somebody for filth. Me and my mom would just sit there with like, I don't know, we're drinking tea or something like that. We just watch people, and you would hear the stereotypical like, that
I
side
love
look.
that.
And you can
Yeah,
see
exactly.
you can see
Side
the
look, and
finger
then
kind of go back and forth a little bit too.
yes, exactly. Because we would watch and we kind of like watch them go by, and then we look at each other and just go, So knowing that the actual situation, so it was one of those like restaurant, wait staff situations where person was being impatient while they were, rushing behind or whatever. It was me and a couple of other people. I believe I was actually in college at this point. They told us the wait time, like somebody that was still up there kind of told us the wait time. So we're like, okay. So we're waiting. We ain't got nothing else better to do. And this one guy who just had this air of entitlement comes in, and, we're all waiting for a little bit. And he gets a little bit impatient, even though he wasn't there first. So he starts making a stink with the host. And like I said, I kind of do things that will take the attention and put it onto me. But it's because I would rather deal with the brunt of the attention of that annoyed person than watch the wait staff who are obviously trying to do the best they can deal with it, even though I know, quote unquote, it's part of their job. Somebody's gonna freaking make that comment. But it's really not. It's not. It shouldn't be a wait staff's job to try to emotionally regulate because you can't do it for yourself, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I made a noise where I sucked my teeth, and I felt like those jokers were gonna go into the back of my throat. I sucked them so daggone hard, just so I could be loud enough to make this dude look at me, and I gave him the funniest side eye. So again, in college at this point, and it's a military college, so I've got like the military haircut and everything, even though I looked young. But the guy kind of looks at me for a second, looks me up and down, and his demeanor kind of like changes. And I don't know exactly why, but I just remember just thinking it was the funniest thing because I'm like, yeah, you're not so tough whenever somebody decides to call you out for something, huh?
As long as it worked and
Calling
got better.
people.
I have a
So
good one. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you not finished? Go ahead.
no. I was just agreeing like that. That's my story.
I have a good one. So one of my pet peeves is at a food chain that I really like. And y'all know the place. They have cows as their mascot, but they don't serve beef.
That
And when they bring their stuff to you, and you say thank you, they respond with my pleasure. It grates on me so bad because I know that they're being forced to say this. So there was one time, I am real quick. Sometimes things come out of my mouth before I can stop it. They brought me my stuff. I said, thank you. They said, my pleasure. And I looked at them. I go,
is it?
I could just imagine like
Yeah.
the head tilt, like, is it though?
Oh.
Is it really?
And they turned around so fast and they looked at me and they didn't know how to answer, but I could see it all over their face. Like, no, I am the most miserable I have ever been, but this is paying my bills.
Exactly.
Yep.
And they just go, mm-hmm.
I can't give you the answer I want to give you, but I'm going to give you the answer I'm supposed to give you.
There are cameras everywhere.
No.
And then the person who was with me was so embarrassed. I'm sorry. It came out faster than I can catch it. Sometimes thoughts are auditory or audibly.
That's
So
funny.
that's I wasn't trying to be an ass, but it was one of those things where it's the worker. I'm like, you are being forced to do this dumb sentence.
Yeah.
My pleasure. Is it really?
Right. That's so funny because immediately, like, I just imagine like the person turning around and having the face that says,
Yeah, that's
but then
funny.
you just look in their eyes and you can see how dead they are inside.
Right? Right. Yes. How about you, RJ? Any of the situations that just turned into something funny?
I'm not sure. I'm sure. I mean, y'all know me. My mouth gets me into trouble, so I don't think that a pet peeve have got me too much in trouble. I'll give you a good example, and I know we're kind of going long, so I don't want to like hit it too long. But one of the ones I didn't say that I'm going to say is like not using your blinker. That kind of bothers me a little bit, and sometimes
What's a
before
blinker?
the blinker on your car, like what is that?
It's
Turn
not a
signal?
blinker.
Your turn
It's
signal?
a signal.
Whatever. Whatever. See, I'll add
You
more
have
to you.
one.
I'll add some more, and I drink a lot of pop while I'm driving too.
Oh my god.
anyway, I'll just add to it. Anyway, but press it on. Anyway, so someone doesn't use their turn signal. I'm old enough that I've tamed my road rage, my anger, my I don't really care, let's press on, whatever. But when I was younger, I was not that way. And I am sure that the person heard me say a few name callings because I didn't realize my window was down. And I'm sure I got the glare and they were mature enough to press on and press forward. But I think I would say lucky stars that they didn't have the same road rage at the same time I had mine, because that could have turned into something bad. So when I look back at it, I'm like, thank goodness that didn't turn into an event. But I'm sure I've, like you said, just something happens, you say something, and you're like, I don't know if I'm happy I said that, but I don't regret it. So I'm sure based on a pet peeve or whatever, I'm sure that's part of it too.
That's interesting that you pointed that one out. I have to say, I think for me and Ant, that's my biggest one is his impatience. I can't say it's road rage, but it's his impatience with other drivers and the things he says. I guess I'm a patient driver. Not always. You tailgate me, I'm gonna have some impatient words for you.
Yeah, for sure. And for sure.
But yeah, that's just one of those things where, again, it's a relationship. So harping on it or saying something about it isn't going to make the situation better. It's not going to change anything. There was one time, though, it went on for a repeated amount of times. And I was like, do you feel, I genuinely asked him, do you feel better after you say those things? And his response was kinda. I'm like, well, no one else can hear you. So what does it matter?
Yeah. I mean, you're with it as long as your window's down. No, I mean, your window's up. You're good.
Up.
Yeah,
What windows?
Up. As long as your windows are up. Yeah, exactly.
So going into closing, one of the things I wanted to ask you guys is how do you handle pet peeves without losing your cool? And what are some tips for turning annoyances into humor?
Ooh. For me, it'd be just maturity, like just time. Like it just took me time to realize that it's not the end of the world to be upset about it. If I was going to spitfire a couple that I didn't talk about, it's just random ones. Kids not flushing the toilet and it just sits all day and then you find it and you're like, ugh, you know, whatever, you just kind of press on. You're kind of like, oh, you know, I'll have a talk or whatever, those kind of things. I think just age has, or maturity level makes a difference. Have I breathed through it? Have I, like you said with Ant, does getting angry or getting upset or getting, I don't know, just downright angry, does it really help you? Or is it something that you can just go, oh, you're right, it's not going to help me to get angry, so let's just press on? I think that's just maturity level for me.
I'm going to agree with that. I think over time, as you experience things, you know, the phases in your life change. You kind of grow a little bit more adaptable to the situations and making the choices of, does this really bother me enough for it to ruin my day? Or is it just a moment of going, oh my goodness, is this happening? And then move on.
But for those that are old enough to be mature enough to do it, and if you have still trouble with dealing with those things, just talk to somebody about it, I would say. I mean, we're not professionals by any means, but talk to somebody about, you know, what's bothering you, what it is. That way, maybe a simple thing like you said about the seat up or down. My wife, I used to leave the seat up all the time. My wife talked to me about it, and now I'm very adamant on putting the seat down when I'm done with whatever I'm doing. So it just took a pet peeve of hers talking to me about it, me learning to do it better. And then now it's not a pet peeve anymore because I don't do it anymore. So sometimes just talking it out helps too.
Agreed.
I agree with that.
Especially with like what Soul was saying earlier about like the relational factor as well. A lot of things definitely can probably be talked through. I also agree with the maturity thing, and as you get older, you start kind of recognizing what's worth it and then what's not. Anyone that struggles with that as well, though, I box breathe, which helps a lot. for those that do not know, do not quote me on this because I probably do this inappropriately. But box breathing for me is like I feel the emotions rising and whatnot. So I'll take a deep breath in, hold it for about 4 seconds, out for 5 or 6, and kind of just repeat that cycle to try to regulate my system enough that I know I'm not going to have an outward response. Most of the time that works. Other times that it doesn't work, kind of looking at what Soul again was talking about with Ant and, kind of voicing those things out loud. I voice things out loud, and dependent on it, it can make me feel better. Earlier today, me and Zena were watching this video, and a lot of the things that they were talking about, I have experience in, for lack of better phrasing. The entire time we're watching this video, I'm like pausing it every 2 minutes, and then I'm going on a tirade about something they said and how stupid or incorrect it was, or this is how this is actually supposed to be done, or this is what this actually is and not what they say, and so on and so forth. Meanwhile, she's next to me on her Switch, and at one point she finally was like, "You feel any better?" I'm like, And then she's like, "Well, you do know that they can't hear you, right?" And I'm like, "I know. But by the end of it, I know I'm going to feel better at least because I got it out." Because, sometimes it does help with processing by actively speaking things out loud or allowing yourself to have that catharsis of release. Another thought process, too, which is a little bit more difficult to do. I've done it before, is you get home after a hard day at work or whatever, or just a bunch of things that agitated you that just kind of piled up on and on and on. Take a pillow and just scream.
Oh, yeah.
I sigh. It drives everybody nutty. It's just the easiest way to get that energy out of me, because things that happen or annoy me, it becomes internal energy for me, and the energy needs to come out, or else it's going to
Yes.
build up and it's unhealthy. Took me a very long time to learn this. So I sigh. I sigh a lot. But the sigh isn't you're doing something wrong or you're annoying me or you need to change it. The sigh is I need to not care about this. It needs to not bother me, is what the sigh is.
More,
And it's easily misconstrued or misunderstood, and I can understand that. And that's something I'm working with Ant, is that it's a release of energy. I mean, I sigh a lot. Now, when I get really annoyed or angry and that energy has built up, I rage clean.
I could see that. Yeah. Is it more of like one of those things where it's just kind of like, I just need to distract myself?
Yes, I need to make myself feel better. A clean house always makes me feel better. There's always something to clean in our house with 8 animals and a teenager, an aunt, and me. The cooking I do, the crafty stuff I do, there's always something to clean. So there's always a chore I can pick to physically do to release that energy.
Agreed. God, this is the more that we talk, the more I'm like, oh yeah, no, I've done that before. Oh yeah, that was
Yeah.
something I relate to.
It's a very relatable topic.
Isn't there like a Shrek thing where it says better out than in? I always say something like that. Like,
Yes.
just let it out.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. I think he was talking about flatulence.
Well,
but
yeah,
yes.
whatever. Either way, it's still better out than in.
With that, I think we are going to wrap it up and head on over and visit Anikailani in the Fae Forecast.
Hello and happy time zone, friends. Welcome to the Fae Forecast, the segment where we consult the oracle cards for a brief glimpse of advice for the times ahead, or I share a little coach wisdom to strive for your most authentic self. I'm your host and resident Fae, Anikailani. For those of you that are new, welcome in. And those of you returning, welcome back. As we crest into the second half of the month, I'm called to share a few affirmations with you all. That said, I am currently consulting my affirmation. Say goodbye to Furry. 50 card profanity affirmation deck. So, as the listeners know, I am going to censor these cards a bit as this is a spicy deck. And so, with that said, your affirmations, my friends. The first one, limited editions are better than copies. Who wants to be a copy when they can be a one-of-a-kind bad bee? Show your fierce side and be confident enough to be your effing self. And then following that, we have kindness is a effing boss move. Never let any a-hole call you weak when showing kindness. Life can be effed up sometimes, but you can still show it that there is still a bad bee who won't go down easily. And it's interesting, folks, with the subject of today's podcast being talking about pet peeves, especially talking about the kindness, being able to just respond to pet peeves with kindness and be able to work together and be able to address things in a productive manner and be able to move on. Sometimes the best way forward is to approach it with a kind heart and a gentle word. Now, all goes, I know that it can be hard sometimes to do that. At which point, my friends, once again we take a moment to breathe in those moments. Go to your happy place. Do what you can to be able to calm yourself and center. And then when cooler heads prevail, be able to reevaluate the situation and address it accordingly. And then, folks, with the limited editions are better than copies. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. It's better to be yourself than go with the flow, be a yes man, perhaps. Don't rock the boat. You don't want to be a carbon copy of someone else. You can be you and still be a part of things. You can be you and not feel so bad about it, being different. Some people, their pet peeve is lack of conformity. And to those people, I feel somewhat disheartened and saddened. But in today's society, it is, I would say, rather difficult to allow ourselves to be our authentic selves. But that doesn't mean that it's impossible. Continue to approach life with kindness and patience. Be yourself. Give yourself that grace. Be kind to yourself as you navigate the remainder of the month. Just know that you are special, you are unique, you are you, and it's better to be you than try to be a copy of something else. And that is your Fae Forecast for this time, my friends. My name is Anikailani once again. If you have any questions or wish to have your question answered on the Fae Forecast, feel free to reach out to us here on the Common Tangent. In the description below, there should be a link to our Google form where you can submit your questions. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I greatly appreciate you. Be gentle to yourselves, be kind to yourselves, and strive to be authentic. Thank you.
All right, everybody, we've spent the last half hour talking about our pet peeves, and hopefully you've shared your pet peeves into the description below. It is time for Guess the Press. I've scoured the darkest corners of the internet to find headlines so bizarre, so chaotic, and so ridiculous, they blur the line between reality and fiction. I'm with our two other great co-hosts, Sol and Annie, and it's time for them to show their great knowledge into these great topics that I try to come up with. I have two of them, and if you're playing along at home, please feel free to pop the comments in there and say, yep, this was the answer I picked. If you got it before the hosts, feel free to put it in there. If not, then maybe we'll stump you. That's the plan, and this is what we got here. So I was trying to figure out a couple topics that came with pet peeves, but there's a few that I'll keep a little bit of PG-ish each on this one, and I'll push the rest of them in a different podcast. So a little teaser for those that I'm holding on to. So this one will be a category. Both of them will represent drawings or coloring, and you'll understand what that means here in just a minute. So we'll start with our normal one. I'll give you 3 headlines. 1 is real, 2 are fake, and you'll see what you guys can give me for which one it is, so you guys can discuss amongst yourselves and tell you what it is. So here's the 3 headlines for you today. Number 1, local artist turns entire crosswalk into giant coloring project. Headline number 2, student creates comic strip so realistic it confuses entire school staff. Number 3 was driver pulled over for having a hand-drawn license plate. Those are your 3 headlines. Which one is true?
I want to say definitely number 3.
Okay.
Hilariously, I think this is one of the first times we are like unanimous in that immediately. I think it's number 3 too.
So this story was from October 13th, 2025. So just recently. California Highway Patrol officers and somewhere else were left shaking their heads after pulling over a driver with an unusual license plate. Look closely, the license plate is actually a drawing. This wasn't going to fool anyone, but the agency gave the driver some points for creativity. This, of course, is not allowed. The driver apparently told officers that they lost the original plate, with a reminder that you can always request replacements with a DMV instead of breaking out art supplies. Yes, that was fantastic. You guys, that was an easy one for you all. You guys picked that one up right away. So, yes, for sure. Now I got to find out a little harder ones for later on, because that one was a little bit easy, but it's all right. Sometimes it's okay to have questions that are easy. Hopefully this one is a little bit harder. This one goes back to when we had, I'll give you 5, like Crayola has offered crayons in a wide variety of packs and sizes over the years. For a bonus Crayola crayon box buying, which one of these boxes of crayons can you not buy officially from the company? So if I had to go to Crayola and buy these boxes from them. You probably could find off-brand stuff or whatever, but Crayola offers a bunch of random boxes with random counts in them. I'm going to give you 5 of them. 1 is fake. You have to tell me which one the fake one is. So Crayola on their website sells either a 96 count Crayola box, a 60 count Crayola box, a 100 count Crayola box, a 4 count Crayola box, or a 64 count Crayola box. Which one is the fake one?
The 4 count.
That was quick. But I'm not saying it's right or not. I'm just saying.
It's either the 4 or the 100, but I'm pretty sure it's the 4 count.
Frick, there was one that I was thinking of earlier. It was 4 count, 100 count. What were the others?
It was the 96, 60, 100, 4, or 64.
I'm going to say the fake one is 96.
Ooh. Do you guys want to come up with a consensus, or do you want to spin the wheel on if either one of you are correct?
Let's spin the wheel.
All right. So if I go to the website, the 64 count one is a classic box with a built-in sharpener and older versions of counts. So it's a 60
with a flip top.
Yep, that's yep, exactly.
I owned them.
Yep. Let's see here. So that's 64. I want to give you the 100 count is correct. That's in the large assortment box. I don't know what this means. I just wrote them down. I'm on their website right now just to be 100% sure. The 4 count is a child baby set where you can buy a 4 count for younger adults. And the 96 count is the common size for Crayola boxes in a larger set. The 60 count is the only one that you cannot buy directly from Crayola.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a fun. It's an interesting one. I went to their website when I wrote this one down. I was like, oh, it's something different. Like something like doesn't always that way. I have another Crayola one later on in another episode as well. Did another tease it, but that one I'm not going to tell you just yet. Yeah, I like those a little bit because those. I remember I had to go back to the kids stuff because I would like open their boxes and I was like they're going through colors and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, I like this color. I like this color and like whatever. And then I was looking at the boxes. I was like, how many boxes do they sell with the counts? And I was like, oh, that would be a good one for the parents out there or for those that love the color with crayons, I guess. Yeah, that's
Right.
an easy one.
So I admit I kind of had some insider knowledge with that. I'm recently going to Walmart to buy things, and going through the like arts and crafts section, I did notice that there was like is either a three or I want to say it was a four count, but the freaking crayons were huge.
Yeah.
Like bigger than a toddler arm size. It was kind of wild. I was really tempted to buy them just for the sake of the fact that they were comically huge. But 60, why? I don't
I don't,
understand that one.
yeah, I
Why
don't think
would
there's a like a
that-
10, like I think they're just an equal, right, in a box or something. I'm not really for sure. I looked it up, the 4 count, for those that are really curious. You can buy a case of 4 counts that looks like you can buy a case, and then like the reviews are like, these are great for children's birthday parties or something. So you give a set of 4 to their kids, or a 4 set for restaurants when they come in and they color. They give you a 4 pack of Crayola. So
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of interesting. But yep,
Well, also
Very
thank you
interesting.
for that hit of nostalgia.
yeah, go back to those little crayons, man. I miss coloring with crayons.
No,
But
for real, because like you were talking about the one with the built-in sharpener, and I'm like, oh my God, yeah, you were the freaking talk of the town and like the favorite of the classroom if you came in with that. You're fancy.
I don't know. I wonder if
They
that's
were expensive. I mean, they're still expensive, but they were really expensive
yeah.
for an art supply.
I wonder if the sharpener is a safety thing now. If they make them the
It's
same way.
really dumb. It's plastic and not sharpened, doesn't work.
Oh, so they've changed it where it's not like a razor blade anymore.
Correct. It's just a ledge of plastic.
Now, jump in the comments if you put your finger in there as a kid and tried to sharpen your finger. Sharpen the edge of your finger.
No, who would do that? Who thinks of you think of these things, don't
I swear there is so many little boys that do stupid things, and I'm sure there's one of them. I don't know.
Agreed.
I was a kid. I've probably done some stupid things before, or sharpened it, not crayons, but tried to sharpen other things. I don't. Whatever.
Talking about that. And all that you get from Annie is
Yeah, that's funny.
Oh, Annie was that kid. I see.
Oh my goodness. Well, we looked in the future, we looked in the present. Now let's look in the happiness, and let's head over to Solskynn for the bright side.
Hi, friends. Welcome back to The Bright Side. Today's story is quiet, gentle, but powerful. It's about love, loss, and the unexpected ways hope finds us again. Let me tell you about a bench. Every morning at exactly 7:12 a.m., an elderly man named Thomas sat on the same park bench. Rain or shine, winter chill or summer heat, he wore a brown coat that had clearly seen better days, and he carried a small thermos between his hands. He didn't scroll a phone, he didn't read a paper, he simply watched the world wake up. Joggers passed him, parents hurried children to school, dogs pulled their owners down the path. And every single morning, Thomas would glance down the walkway as if waiting for someone. Years ago, that bench belonged to 2 people, Thomas and his wife, Eleanor. They met there by accident. She dropped her book, he picked it up, he told a terrible joke. She laughed anyway. The next morning, he brought coffee, and then the next, and the next. The bench became their beginning. Years later, it became the place they would sit in comfortable silence, hands resting side by side, until one day, Thomas was sitting there alone. Eleanor had passed away, and yet Thomas kept coming. Because when love is real, it doesn't just disappear. It lingers in places, in routines, in the quiet spaces between the heartbeats. One Tuesday morning, something changed. A little girl, maybe 8 years old, stopped in front of him. She looked up and asked, "Why do you sit here every day?" Thomas hesitated, then he told her. He told her about Eleanor, about the book, about the laugh, about the coffee,
about the bench. When he finished, the little girl nodded very seriously. That's sad, she said. It's also really beautiful. And then she ran off to catch her mom. Thomas watched her go, and for the first time in a while, he smiled. The next morning, at 7:12 a.m., Thomas arrived as usual. But something was different. The bench was covered in small paper hearts, dozens of them, pink, blue, yellow. Each one had a message written in crayon. Love stays. Stories don't end. You're not alone. Thank you for waiting. The little girl stood nearby, hands tucked behind her back with a shy smile. She had told her class about the man on the bench, and they decided that if love had lived there once, it could live there again. Thomas didn't cry loudly. He didn't make a scene. He simply reached out and placed his hand over one small paper heart. And for the first time in years, he didn't look down the path waiting for somebody who wasn't coming. He looked around. He saw something he hadn't noticed before. Life was still moving toward him, not away. The bench still waits at 7:12 a.m., but now, sometimes Thomas brings extra hot chocolate. Because healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means making room for new light besides old love. And sometimes hope shows up in crayon. Maybe you're sitting on your own bench right now, holding a memory, holding a season, holding a version of life that feels like it's already past. Grief can make us believe that everything good is behind us, but sometimes the world is just waiting for us to look up. Love doesn't disappear, it transforms. And when we stay open even just a little, a new light finds a way to sit beside us. If the story touched you, let it be a reminder. You are not alone. Your story isn't over, and hope may be closer than you think. This is The Bright Side, and I am so happy you were here. All right, friends, that's a wrap on our episode about personal pet peeves. We hope you laughed, cringed a little, and maybe even related to some of our frustrations. A huge thank you to the amazing co-hosts, Anikailani and Liquid Music, for sharing their stories, laughs, and perspectives. It wouldn't be the same without you. We'd love to hear your pet peeves. Drop us a comment or reply on X, and let's keep the conversation going. And don't forget to follow The Common Tangent on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube so you never miss an episode. If you enjoyed today's tangent, share it with a friend who might have some pet peeves of their own. They might thank you or argue with you. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time for more tangents, laughs, and maybe even a little life advice.